Jake the Film Guy, Microbudgeter.com. In this video, we're going to talk about the 4 things that must be in place before you actually have a video gig on your hands. Numero uno, the first one is the most obvious one, but it goes without saying that unless there is a need, unless there is a problem, and it doesn't matter if your client is a business, a nonprofit organization, a church, or a mom and pop, an individual, it doesn't matter. If there is not a need, then you're not going to have a deal. They might have an idea, and I've talked about this elsewhere. The ideas people you have to be careful about. Ideas people are full of energy and they're really excited and they're high eyes on the disc profile. And oftentimes that's where the buck stops. Nonetheless, unless there is a need for your solution, whether it be a wedding video, a small business advertisement, a bar mitzvah video, perhaps it's a celebratory video, it doesn't matter. Unless there is a need for what it is you bring to the table, you don't have a deal. So make sure you always address the need and all of the different pain points that this need exacerbates and how you are the solution to that problem. That leads us to number 2. Unless you have a proposal, a contract, a written work agreement, unless you have that and it's exchanged hands, you're not going to have a video production job, a gig on your hands. As Grant Cardone says, 100% of your deals are going to have a contract. 100% of your deals are going to have a written agreement. So even if you don't think there is a shot of you landing that deal, you give them a digital copy, you give them a hard copy of that work agreement with all the different things spelled out that you're going to do for them to solve their problem, their pain point. You must, number 2, have a written agreement in place. Make sure you give them that copy. Leads me to the 3rd and 4th point. And these are the biggest ones because you'll jump the gun, especially as you are starting out in video production. Whether it's a side hustle part-time or full-time, you're going to jump the gun very often without these 2 most critical pieces in place. They need to give you their Herbie Hancock. Bonus points if you remember Herbie Hancock. If they don't sign the work agreement, you don't have a deal. You can talk all day. They can be really excited. They can promise you you are their guy. You are the lady for them. You are the person that's going to bring them the triple threat, the home run, the touchdown, the point after is good. They'll tell you until they are blue in the face. But if they don't sign that piece of paper, sorry muchacho, you don't have a deal. So you need to learn how to follow up with that person, and you need to learn and have confidence when it comes time to actually ask for the close and the written agreement. They need to sign it as an officer of their company if that's applicable. And if it's not a company, they need to sign it as Mr. John Q. Public. And they need to date it. Last but not least, numero 4. You cannot, and I absolutely cannot stress this enough, you cannot start your video production job for this person, this entity, whatever that might be, unless you have a deposit. Wow, I can't tell you how many times this happened to me, and probably will continue to happen to me, but I've gotten better about tempering my expectations, and you have to do the same. You might have the written contract, you know what their pain points are, you know what the problems are, you're going to come in like a phoenix, and you're going to solve everything for them, but if they don't give you that deposit that you ask for to get the pre-production process kick-started, you don't have a deal. I can think of 2 glaring examples in my time where this has happened. Once, I was in Vegas, and I was looking at doing a deal remotely for a group out of North Carolina. I had the signed contract. I was so excited to get started on editing this long-form project. Time was elapsing. Started talking more and more with the decision makers and influencers, and I realized that the deal was falling apart, and you know what? They never did pay that deposit, the retainer, to get the actual pre-production, or in this case, post-production started. Nonetheless, it seemed like it was your sure thing. It didn't happen out that way. It turned out it was not a deal at all, even though I had the signature. Doesn't matter. And the same thing happened another time for a gig out of Tennessee. And again, here I am in Vegas. I was going to fly halfway across the world, or at least the country, to go to Tennessee to help a small business get some advertisements going. I had the signed contract. I had a lot of conversations with this person. Everything seemed positive. The timing was in favor of what I needed to do and what they needed to do. It was great across the board, but they never did commit to paying to get the pre-production process started. A lot of time was wasted on their end and my end, and ultimately it all fell apart. Just because you have a signed written agreement, it doesn't mean you have a deal. That's why that fourth step of actually getting that retainer to kickstart everything, to put things into motion, is absolutely crucial. So don't burn another ounce of energy until you have gotten all four of these in place. If you're just jumping in, if you're tuning me out, if you're waiting for the outro to really sum everything up for you, here you go. Number one, you got to make sure they have a problem. Number two, there's got to be a written agreement, and it has to include everything that you promised to do for them, and vice versa sometimes. Number three, you need to make sure that a responsible decision maker signs as an officer of that company, if that's applicable, or just sign for themselves if it's more of a personal endeavor, like a birthday or a wedding video. And last but not least, you absolutely have to have some kind of deposit to get things in motion. Without all four of these in place, you don't have a deal. Keep fishing though. God created this world and populated it with what is now close to 8 billion people. A lot of folks out there that need what you have been gifted with. And God has created you to be an agent of good in your community, so go and find other people. Keep fishing. You're going to get a lot of rejection. A lot of people say no. A lot of people say yes, but then ultimately not follow through. You just got to keep fishing. Keep at it. Don't quit. Keep praying. Don't quit. That's what my shirt says. That's why I wear it every time for you guys and gals. And I do wish that you will continue in this process. It is a marathon. It's not a sprint. Keep reading the Word daily, say your prayers, eat your vitamins, use this tool for good, bring light in the darkness, and I'll catch you next time. But wait a second. Hey, if you stuck around this long, I got a bonus for you. What? A bonus? That's right. Okay. When it comes to making the deal, I have talked about this elsewhere, but it is especially critical here. Everything can look great. You can have all of these pieces in place. Hopefully not the fourth and final piece, because at that point, you're truly committed. But if you find at any point in time your client, doesn't matter, again, if they're a business, a nonprofit, if they are a government entity, doesn't matter, could be an individual. If your client starts ragging on the person before you, if there is a person, if there was a person before you, then you need to get out of Dodge. That person is absolutely going to be a tough, and I mean tough, and not in the best way possible. They're going to be a tough client. You don't want to do work for them. I promise you, you're going to end up on that laundry list too. If they start ragging on the previous vendor or any other vendor, be warned. Last but not least, I promised you a bonus. Well, that was one bonus. Here's your second bonus. Because I want you to know that in this channel, I am committed to helping you get those 4- and 5-figure jobs after you've launched your home-based video production business with absolutely zero debt. That's exactly what I want you to do in your journey of becoming a filmmaker. So here's your final bonus. Bonus number 2. When you have this deal, check with your state, and it should be okay, but still check with your state laws. When you have this deal, make sure you understand that it's okay to have the digital signature. In the old days, only the wet signature was applicable. But as the online Wild West has taken more shape and certainly more presence in our lives, the digital signature should hold up. But you need to double check. Don't be complacent in this matter. You want to make sure that if you're going to give a written contract digitally, that the digital signature holds up and that you, in your contract, are talking about arbitration should things go south. If you need help with your contracts, I got a link to that below. It's one of the most popular resources I have here on the channel and at the website. Go through it with the fine-tooth comb. You absolutely need it. Again, it is the second step in making sure you have a deal.